Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Transformers Hot Wheels Deluxe Class Twinmill, brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro, Mattel, as well as my dad, Mr. Brian, who was nice enough to get me this guy for my birthday, which happened probably a while ago as the time this video is being posted, but as the time it was being recorded, that was yesterday. So, happy birthday to me, I guess. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look, see at all the Twinmill has to offer in terms of accessories. Are these engines, which double as guns. Now, interesting thing, they clip onto his hands as opposed to actually being held as guns per se. They're friction hinges, which is a very odd thing for a blaster, but they do stay on. They're not gonna fall off. And the other thing to note is these pipes can pop off, these flames. And it looks like they could probably also scratch the paint, so be careful with that. And you want to have these flames like angled out this way so they don't bump up against the car in vehicle mode. And one other thing to note, these pipes can actually pop off of here for whatever reason. I don't know the significance of that, but they do pop off. I'm trying to see if they plug in the other way. They do. Yeah, they plug in the other way, but I don't think that's necessary for them to be blasters. That's your lot. Way better accessories than the Bone Shaker. And I have to say, the all mode is, robot mode, excuse me, is a little bit better as well. First of all, he's got actual feet with a decent amount of tilt. They can rotate and they can pivot up and down. The Bone Shaker just had weird, chunky, boot-looking feet. This guy's got actual feet. He's got big, bulky shoulders, but he's got like no back kibble. Probably a little bit too little in the back. This is a very flat area, but other than that, his arms are a little funky, and they're actually supposed to look like this. Like this with this armor piece on the outside, but there are some gaps here that make it look a little weird. But if you turn this around, you get more range. Like, you straight up get a double elbow if you do this. And B, it looks a little bit better. His arms are still kind of weird, but as far as articulation on him goes, his head will rotate. It can look up a little bit, not a ton. His shoulders can pivot up, down, rotate. He does have a hinge here, which is the hinge you're probably more or less going to want to use. It'll move in and out. He's got a double elbow, like I said, that can crunch up that far. He's got a swivel in the wrist. He's got a waist twist. His hips can kick out pretty far, back down, forward, and back. Not the tightest in the in and out, but not super floppy loose either. He's got a thigh cut, single jointed knee that gets you 90. Yeah, his legs are a bit gappy, but I've seen worse. I would say this part of the car should have been able to fold down, and it doesn't. That would have helped fill things out a bit. Although I do feel like the Bone Shaker had some gappiness too. But don't quote me on that. I don't have him handy right now. He does, of course, have the ankle rocker we looked at earlier, with rotation in the foot, as well as hinge forward and back, and some heel spurs that you can either fold in or out. So, not a bad little bot mode. I would say, again, of the two, the strongest, maybe, if we disregard some of the shortcomings of the arms. But I think the main thing this guy's got going for him is way better weaponry. Way better weaponry. Like, these are not perfect, mind you, but they are not just a stick. So plugging these on. But standing him up there. Sorry, my dumb arse forgot I was recording for a second. I was just getting him all situated, and I was like, oh, right, I'm recording a video. Either way, before I wrap this sucker up, let's bring in our two regulars. We've got the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulith. Right there. And the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and I'm going to stand by my previous statement in saying that, other than the arms, maybe, I think good old Twinmill here is a little bit stronger than the Bone Shaker, but not by a ton, just by a reasonable amount, because A, he's got better weapons. I mean, the Bone Shaker's weapon was just, what even was that? And the robot mode is a lot sleeker, in my opinion. It's just the arms are a little odd, to say the least. So, with that being said, before we wrap this sucker up, why don't we get good old Twinmill here transformed and take a closer look at his vehicle mode. And as promised, here we have the Twinmill in his vehicle mode, which is, of course, the Twinmill from Hot Wheels. And as I mentioned earlier, in robot mode, these flame pieces are specifically shaped to fit a certain way so they can clear the wheels. If I take this other one off, you can see that he can roll back and forth. Whee! Whee! Just like that. I will say, once again, I am surprised that they went with this shade of blue, because whenever I think of the Twinmill, I think of like this bright fluorescent neon green color, not so much the blue, but you know, blue for Hot Wheels, I guess. But unlike my Bone Shaker review, I don't have an official Twinmill Hot Wheel to compare this to, but I will tell you it looks exactly like an official Twinmill Hot Wheel, just Deluxe class Transformer sized. And that, my friends, is that. It's a cool vehicle mode. I think of the two, this is probably the stronger release. I'm not going to lie, I think the robot mode's a little cooler looking. It's a little bit sleeker. And then the vehicle mode, you know, It doesn't have a skull on the front, but it's still a really cool vehicle mode nonetheless. So, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this review, until next time, I'll catch you guys later.